Have you ever met a famous person and later you thought you didn't react or you didn't like the way you reacted? I mean, you either maybe got super excited, you were really spazzed out about meeting that person and you couldn't clam up and they probably looked at you like you were strange, or maybe you couldn't, you just clammed up, you couldn't talk, you stammered and you couldn't say anything to them. And maybe they still looked at you strange. And then later you hitting yourself over the head. Why couldn't I say anything to that person? Well, I want to talk a little bit about maybe three famous people that I met, and I was kind of the latter. I'm a teacher by trade, but I got to kind of get quiet or clam up when I meet like high level people or famous people. Or in the beginning, I used to be when I'm talking in front of big groups of people too. I don't have so much trouble now with public speaking. By the way, my name is Edgar Montoya, and this is my welcome to my channel, the Language Cafe, or maybe you're watching this on my other channel, American Update. Welcome. Okay, one person that I met, I'm going to share my screen. I use Zoom, so I'm not so super advanced on. Okay, let's see if I could find here. This thing sometimes takes time to. I'll start with John McCain. Okay, I met John McCain. I don't know if you know who he was. He passed away a few years ago. My screen froze there. He was a senator from the state of Arizona, and he was the man that Barack Obama defeated in 2008 when Barack Obama was elected president of the United States. His Republican contender, his opponent, was Senator John McCain. And I met him a few years before 2008. That was 2008. So I met him a few years, maybe it was 2003, 2004. And it was at a book signing. I bought his book. I think it was called Faith of Our Fathers. So I stood in line with everybody else. And he was sitting at a table signing autographs. Finally, it's my turn. And I come up to him and I hand him the book. I don't say anything. I had planned to say to him, "Hello, Senator. Welcome to Torrance." I live in Torrance, California. He shook my hand right away as he took the book. He says, "Thank you, sir, for coming." And he takes the book and I'm signing. I'm just looking at him. It's John McCain. He finishes, hands it back to me, shakes my hand again, says, "Thank you once again, sir, for coming. Okay. God bless you," or something like that. I'm like blah, 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 stammering. "Yeah, thank you, sir." And I'm like all nervous. And I walk away, next person. Okay. And I don't know. I was so overcome or so overwhelmed. As I had a mini speech prepared, like, welcome. I'm glad to hope you run for president. And he did, when he was the nominee in 2008, I did vote for him. Okay. Didn't agree with him on everything, but he was a noble senator. He did his duty for his country. Okay, let me go to the next one. The next one I would be Dan Quayle. I met him coincidentally at a book signing too, and it's actually both were at the same bookstore, Borders, which no longer exists. Dan Quayle was vice president of the United States. He was elected in 1988 together with President George H.W. Bush, or as I call him, Papa Bush, Bush 41. And then he and Bush were defeated 4 years later, in 1992, by Bill Clinton and Al Gore. But I met him some years after he was vice president. And at the time, I went to that book signing with my girlfriend at the time. So, and what got me at both McCain and with Quayle is that people were coming up to these men and they were all as chit-chatty as anything, really comfortable, really friendly, like they had been neighbors growing up. And I was just stunned. It's my turn, and my girlfriend and I, we approached Mr. Quayle together, and we don't say anything. We're just like staring admiringly at him with smiles on our faces. And he takes the book and he looks at us both with a bemused smile on his face, like, what's with these two country bumpkins? They don't say anything to me. So he signs and he gives the book back to me. And I managed to say to him, "Thank you, Mr. Quayle." And I regret that I didn't shake his hand. And he said to me very warmly, "You're very welcome, sir." And the thing about Quayle is that he had such a warmth about him in his eyes, a certain look, and a very down to earth. He's down to earth, which so makes me regret I wasn't at all chit chatty with him. I was kind of reverential as I was with Senator McCain at the time. And I'll tell you, Dan Quayle, he was, let's say, the Kamala Harris of his time, whether you're Republican or Democrat. You know, Kamala Harris is catching a lot of flack, um, depending where you stand, whether deservedly or so. I think a lot of Democrats would agree too. She doesn't come across very well. Maybe they would even say she's not been a good vice president. Well, Dan Quayle was at his time caught a lot of flack from the press. Sometimes I think the press today should go back and retrospectively look back, and they would owe Dan Quayle an apology. In comparison, I think he was Vice President John Adams, who was the first Vice President of the United States under another George Washington. But Dan Quayle, impressive, very, very warm when you meet him. So really, so it's a good guy. I think he's a lawyer today. He's retired from politics. Another one, let me go, the third one I want to talk about is Danny DeVito. You don't know the actor Danny DeVito and his wife Rhea Perlman? Okay. You know him from various movies, and he was on the series Taxi. And yeah, he did a movie, at least one with twins, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, he did another movie with Gene Hackman. I forgot the name of that. He played the Penguin in one of the Batman movies, I think the one with Michael Keaton. And Rhea, she was a star, popular actress on the famous popular comedy series Cheers, right? She played Carla. So I'm on off of in Beverly Hills, off of Rodeo Drive. I've gone with a group of students. I took a group of students on an LA tour. So here we are. I'm walking with one Japanese young man, and we go off and we're walking on Wilshire, and he has to stop the young man I'm with to take go to the bathroom, and I'm standing in the patio there of this restaurant, and I'm looking out the street, and here comes walking this short little guy with a Mac on and sunglasses, and he's working on a toothpick, and then I see the lady, and I realize maybe her quicker than I did him. I said, "That's Rhea Perlman." I go, "That's Danny DeVito." So they were, I'm not sure they're still married. I think they're divorced now, but they're husband and wife. And they're walking like nobody, and nobody was around them. The street was kind of empty at that hour. And they were walking like any couple taking a walk. And she's talking in his ear, and he's nodding his head. He looks up at me with a toothpick, and he looks down. She looks at me kind of with I don't say a glare, but she's busy talking with him. She looks at me without interrupting her speech to him, and she looks back down and talking in his ear, jabber, whatever she was saying, and they keep walking by. The thing interesting, the fun thing about Beverly Hills too, when you go there is keep your eyes open. If you've never been there, you go. You never know who you'll see. You'll never know who you run into. One time I was walking behind a famous model. She was a singer too, Susan Anton. She was tall drinking water, I'd say. Other people have said they've seen Beyonce or something driving her Porsche. Or you can go to Starbucks there, and you never know who you're going to see all of a sudden. That's the fun thing about Beverly Hills and those high ritzy places you go to in Hollywood and the LA area. You're going to see some famous people sometimes unexpectedly, and they look like any Joe and Jane. Okay, so okay, that was interesting. But again, I just look at them. And I was like, I wasn't starstruck. Okay, they didn't see a starstruck look on my face. I just like smiled at them. They could have been any couple. They just kept on walking. And it was that simple. Okay, that was 3 people I met. And you know what? I also met President Carter once. I shook hands with him when he was running for re-election. Came to my high school at the time. And I'm going to talk about him at another time. He's not doing too well. He's in hospice. I think he's probably going to pass away soon. I also met the great famous Mayor Tom Bradley the same day. I'll talk about him, Carter, and meeting Bradley in another video. But anyways, I'd like to hear your comments, hear your likes. If you subscribe to my channel, it's about Language Cafe or American Update is more political. Language Cafe is about all kinds of things. It's about language. It's about cooking. It's about celebrities and movies and music and fun things. Right? I try foods and I talk about them. I'd like to hear, though, what your take on, or from you, your experiences. Any famous people you've met? Did you talk? How did you react around them? What happened? Was it a good experience, a bad experience? Some people are kind of disappointing, your people you like after you meet them. Some people you say, wow, they was a really great person. I'd like to hear your experiences on them. Well, anyways, thank you once again. This is Edgar for the Language Cafe. Thanks, and hope you'll pass by again. Thank you. Bye-bye.